Hey, what's up you guys, this is SGB618 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Wave 1 of the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Overall, I think this is a pretty decent start to the DLC. There were a few missteps here and there which we will touch on, but overall I'm pretty happy with how this DLC has started off. These first tracks have me excited for the future of this DLC, but that's a discussion for another day. So going from my least favourites to favourites, well, to be honest, there's only one track that I didn't like, which was Toad Circuit, and that's simply because they didn't change anything really with this track. It's still a very deadpan tumbleweed track in my opinion. I've heard a few people say that Toad Circuit is one of the best tracks in Mario Kart 7, and I don't understand the appeal of this track. I said this so many times before, outside of the Toad theming, which is very minimal mind you, this is your basic raceway with nothing special about it. Okay, the music is decent, but outside of that it's a deadpan track to me. Like, you will just never see me pick this track online, and it just doesn't bring anything to the table. Mario Kart 8 is literally a game famous for taking pretty basic tracks and completely transforming them into Mario Kart 8 tracks, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So for this track to return and basically play exactly the same, yeah, it's a bit of a letdown. Okay, now we're talking about tracks that I actually like. So at number 7 we have Sky Garden. Now I know a few people have this track a lot higher on their list, but it's towards the bottom for me personally because I feel like it could have been better in a few aspects. One, it's been stripped down a little bit. There was a section where you could literally jump over a gap, but that's been gutted out entirely for whatever reason. And two, this track feels completely different to the original, like to the point that when I saw it in the trailer I was questioning whether that was Sky Garden, and I wasn't 100% sure. That's how different it looked. Don't get me wrong, it looks great and it plays perfectly fine, but to me this is not Sky Garden. This is like Sky Garden 2? I don't know, but it feels nothing like the original version. It's kind of like N64 Rainbow Road, but for whatever reason, I guess it's because I grew up with this track, I didn't really appreciate it as much. I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on it. I just didn't. It was good, but I felt like the energy from this track was just removed and replaced with something else. But overall, it is pretty fun to play on, especially on 200cc. The only thing about this track that's a little bit frustrating is that it's crazy narrow for whatever reason. I've noticed that I was crashing against other players a lot, and there just wasn't a lot of space on the track. But outside of that, it is a pretty decent track, I can't lie. I just don't think it's one for me really, and I feel like a couple parts to this remake could have made this a lot better and could have resulted in Sky Garden being a lot higher on this list. Okay, so now we're chatting about Tokyo Blur at number 6. Now, the thing that holds this track back for me personally is the last lap where you're just drifting for hours. It is pretty satisfying pulling off purple sparks, but this part could have easily have been anti-gravity. That would have been such a great implementation and just would have kept my engagement for that last section. Because outside of that, it's one of the most easiest sections out of any Mario Kart track to me. Like, it's literally just drifting, and then you just have a section where you switch positions and you drift to the glider ramp. It's nothing too crazy and it's just a little bit easy, but outside of that, the theming, very cool. The music took me by surprise and I genuinely really enjoyed it. I really like the addition of the thwomps. It's so random, and I love how they appear in the second lap and not the first one, so you don't see them coming straight away. Even though it has a very strong theme, I feel like the execution is very simple. I'm so glad that they didn't overkill it in terms of design. I feel like it's quite effective and I find it very relaxing to drive through. I know I mentioned that the last section was pretty boring to race through and was too easy, but I feel like in a way it's quite chill to race through. Yeah, Tokyo Blur, especially as a track that I haven't played the original version of, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. Okay, top 5 now, and at number 5 I've got Choco Mountain. This is how you remake a track. Sky Garden kind of went overkill with it, but Choco Mountain is still very recognizable as being Choco Mountain. I really like the cave section. It really enhances the track's theme and it adds a lot more challenge to the track as well. The glider section is great as well. It was a pretty generic section originally, but now they've actually turned it into a flying section, which is great. Boulders, they actually have a little shaking effect when they hit the ground. Very nice touch, and I like how detailed it is now. People like to criticize these DLC tracks, saying that they're pretty textureless and overly cartoony, but I think that Choco Mountain is definitely one of the better looking tracks in this DLC, and I can't find too many faults in terms of the design. This version of Choco Mountain is extremely solid. This might be the most popular track in this DLC so far. We're obviously chatting about Ninja Hideaway. This track is so hard. I'm sorry. This is easily one of the hardest tracks in the game. Like, there's so many 90-degree turns that you just have to do on command. There's some shy guys to avoid because sometimes they're in very annoying positions. There's shortcuts that you have to perform, there's branching paths, and that last section is so frustrating, especially on 200cc. But I love hard Mario Kart tracks. That's what keeps it all going, and it just makes it a lot more tense. This is definitely a tense-filled track. The music only adds to this. When I first heard it, I thought I was playing the wrong game. It felt like something straight out of Splatoon. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they got the composers from Splatoon to make the music of this. But anyway, I feel like it fits the track very well, makes it feel that much more unique, and I really like the theming of it as well. Like I said, I know originally I said that it gives me Dragon Driftway vibes, but when you actually race on it, that's not the case at all. It's something that you need to play yourself and experience yourself. I feel like a lot of people are mixed on this one, but at number 3 I've got Coconut Mall. In terms of how this track looks, this is probably my favourite out of the DLC track so far. I just really love the colours and the lighting, it really pops, and I absolutely love the redesigns on the inside of the mall. Like, some of the shops have a ton more detail now, obviously thanks to the Switch's technology, and despite all of these changes, this track still feels like Coconut Mall to me. Obviously with Mario Kart 8 physics, which does make it feel a bit more different, but overall, playing on it, it feels great to finally be back on Coconut Mall, and I think Nintendo definitely nailed the visuals and the feel of this track. The only thing that keeps this track away from the top 2 slots is what they've done to the last car park section. Like, okay, if you didn't want to include the moving cars, I'll be brutally honest with you, that's fine. I personally don't mind that, but at least make that bit challenging. Like, now it's just 2 stationary cars very far apart. That just makes that bit incredibly easy now. If you had to do that, then why couldn't you include more cars for us to avoid? Obviously, like, lots of people still wanted the moving cars like the original. That obviously would have been the best idea, but if you're going to replace it with that, you could have at least flooded the car park area with cars to make it super precise and more difficult. So this section is now pretty easy, which is a bit of a letdown. But outside of that, I'm pretty happy with Coconut Mall. I'm super glad that we can play it on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That is so amazing. And yeah, number 3 on the list goes to Coconut Mall. Top 2 now, and at number 2 I've got Paris Promenade. Yes, I said Promenade and not Promenade. I realised that was the wrong pronunciation. This track is really cool. It gives me a lot of Daisy Circuit vibes, which is a very good thing because Daisy Circuit is one of my favourite tracks in Mario Kart Wii. Very, very good circuit track. So for that to basically have a similar feel, it was already lots of thumbs up already. I also like all of the alternative paths that you can take. Makes this track a lot more challenging, even though it doesn't look very challenging at face value. I like all of the Paris elements, like the Eiffel Tower and that Ratatouille-esque music. And yeah, I just really like the environment and the feel of this track. I feel like it's one of the more unique tracks in this DLC, and I'm very happy that I was able to experience this track for the first time in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. At number 1, not by much, but at number 1 I've got Shroom Ridge. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me on this because lots of people love bullying Shroom Ridge even before this DLC because of how quote-unquote basic it is, or yet simultaneously complaining that the turns are too sharp and that you keep bumping into cars. Don't really see how that's consistent, but anyway, Shroom Ridge, I do have a nostalgic attachment to it, so obviously there is a bit of a bias here, and I probably appreciate this track a lot more than other people. But yeah, this track, I feel like they remade it so well. The music, it still has that same chill feeling. as the DS version, despite it using different sounds, which is something I loved. Speaking of how this track looks, okay, yeah, there has been some complaints about the lack of textures, and that can be evident in some areas of this track, but for the most part, I absolutely love how this track looks. The sun lighting is really good. I love how colourful it is. I absolutely love how they brought in the cars from Toast Turnpike. I thought that was a very good attention to detail and a nice little Easter egg there. I also like the 2 new shortcuts as well. You've got the glider ramp and you've also got that air section that you can hop over, which is obviously easier said than done, especially on 200cc with the cars, but I appreciate difficult tracks. And even though that I said that this track is chill, on 200cc this track is not easy at all. You think that you're driving on a chill track, but then Mario Kart gives you the reality check that, hey, listen, do you remember what game you're playing, mate? Listen, don't think we're just relaxing you, you know? Like, you're gonna get smacked by a car if you get too cocky with what you're doing. You see what I mean? So it still puts you in your place when you start to feel too relaxed, which is something that you want from a stage like this. Obviously, I preferred some tracks more than others, but if I had to give this wave a rating, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. Some really solid implementations here and there, some really solid remakes and remasters. However, there were a few shortcomings and a few missed opportunities that would have really made this score go even higher. However, one thing that I must say, this wave definitely feels like a starter, which isn't bad. This is what Nintendo wants, so this only adds to the excitement for the rest of the DLC pass. And obviously, if this is the start, hopefully if Nintendo is playing their cards correctly, it will only get better from here. But there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts and opinions on wave 1 of the booster course pass. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please comment down below your thoughts on the points that I made in this video. Did you agree with them? Did you not? And let me know, what was your favorite track in wave 1 of this booster course pass, and how would you order the 8 tracks that we received as well? Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.